Hey! Well, welcome to another video. This time we're going to be talking about the value user override. Now, value user override is very useful because what it allows you to do is localize something for a specific user or have it local for everyone. So let's get to it. Over here, we have something that we made previously, which is a simple text animation. Now, if you want to see how that's made, you can watch the video that I made on this. However, what we're going to be doing is we'll actually be using this to change something about it. So we'll simply go into the button here, text typing animation, and then we'll see here there's a value field. And when we press this button, you'll see this value field goes from 0 all the way up to 82, which is the amount that the string has characters. If we wanted to make this so that this thing here only changes for a specific person, what we have to then do is localize it. So let's go to transform in the attached components, drivers, and then value user override. In here, we then want integer because it's an integer value. And here we have then a few things. We have a target, which will be this field here. We have a default value, which is how the value starts out with, where there currently is not another value written to it. We can change whether or not it creates an override on write, which basically means that if something tries to write to this field here, whether or not the write will succeed. Because if the override is not made on write, then it'll simply be ignored. However, if we have this enabled, and for example, I write 1 to this, you'll see now that there's an override here for 1, but the default is still 0. This means that right now, I see an H here, but any other person would see nothing because the characters are still at 0 for everyone else. Now, if we get rid of this, and then change persistent overrides to no, then we'll have it so that if we save this and spawn it out, all overrides will be gone. If we have persistent override set to true, that means that if we have an override, such as for example this one here, oh, that was the default that I modified, sorry, like this one here, that means that if we do save this right now, it would also save this override here. So if I save it and spawn it out, instead of starting at 0, it would start at 1 for me. So, but I'll get rid of this and I'll make it non-persistent. Because now, if I click this, you'll see that this will still animate properly. And once it's done, it actually stores the value down here. Now for everyone else, this should still be 0. Because the default value here is 0, while my stored value is 82. Again, if I click this, you'll see it animating, and you'll see the value here changes only for me. This works because the tween that we used on here basically just writes to this field here instead of driving it. This means we can drive with the value user override and just hijack the value. Now, the reason why I mentioned this is because if you're trying to do this to a field that is already driven, it's not going to work. You have to first break the link and then assign the value user override. And then instead of driving this field, you would have to write to it. One example of something that works this way is the video player in here, where it actually has a button on the right bottom side to change the audio to local, and when you do that, when you slide the value around, it simply stores a localized value, which uses this component as well. However, it stores it as a floating point value, so float. Where, for example, if I had the volume at full, it would be at 1 with my user in it. But yeah, I hope you can think of how to use this nicely. If you have any questions about this, leave them down in the comments. If you have any questions about anything else, if there's anything you want to know how to do, leave those questions in the comments too. If you got any suggestions for future videos, leave those down below too. If you're wondering about where to find the example object that I make, you can find those in the public folder. This public folder, you can find in my About Me, as well as also down in the description below. If you liked the video, please do like it, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye!